Hello, everyone. It's me, Kavita. This isn't another episode with a guest. It's just me. I just want to share my thoughts, and while I'm still editing, I still owe all of my guests, those who have been on the show, to publish their episodes. So I'm still working on it. I just want to share the journey so far, and I've uploaded 10 episodes under the banner of Life in Trying Times. So, as you can see, as the episode titles. So, 10 episodes has been published for five people that's newly joined. And the first one would be one of my friend that I actually divided that into three episodes. So I thought of um, that this 11th episode would be a bit of my intention for this podcast, what I wanted to do, what is Society Scoop is all about. So let me just share that. So when I first started Society Scoop, people asked me, so what's your niche? Who are you targeting? What kind of guests are you looking for? Well, I must say that they are all valid questions. After all, that's how we are all taught to build something. You have to find a niche, identify an audience, create content, grow the numbers, repeat. But then, somewhere along the way, I realized I wasn't trying to build just another podcast. I wanted to build a space. It's space where people could put down their titles for a moment, a space where conversations mattered more than credentials, and also a space where curiosity mattered more than certainty. Um, so before recording my very first episode, so this one was cou- couple of years ago. So I kept asking myself one question: what am I really trying to build? And the answer didn't come immediately. Um, but it revealed itself one conversation at a time. And what I would relate to this would be a Thirukkural. Okay, there's a Thirukkural that beautifully captures what I now believe the essence of what society scope is all about. So the Thirukkural goes like this: எப்பொருள் யார் யார் வாய் கேட்பினும் அப்பொருள் மெய்ப்பொருள் காண்பது அறிவு. So this Thirukkural, it means true wisdom is listening to a matter, no matter who speaks it, and discerning the truth within it. And I think that's one of the most profound ideas ever written because wisdom doesn't belong to a particular profession. I don't believe in that. It doesn't belong to people with impressive job titles only. It doesn't belong only to professors, CEOs, politicians, or experts. Sometimes wisdom comes from someone who's failed more times than they have succeeded. And sometimes it comes from someone quietly rebuilding their life. Sometimes it comes from an artist, a volunteer, could be a student, a parent, a friend, or even a stranger. Because I believe every person carries a story and every story carries a lesson. But the real question here is, are we listening? Somewhere along the way, I think we have become experts at introducing ourselves in what we do. So think about this. So when people ask you, so what do you do? So what do you do for living? And how do you identify yourself as? So we usually answer, I'm a lawyer, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a doctor, I'm a content creator. But then those aren't the answers to the question, who are you? They're answers to what do you do? Who are you is everything that happened before the introductions. So think about this question. So when someone asks, who are you? How would you answer it? To me, I see it as it's going to be the disappointments, the sacrifices, the failures nobody applauded. There are moments you almost gave up, the tiny decisions that quietly changed your life forever. So, these are the things that made you and who you are today. Um, Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So, every guest who was on the other line, so we did this recording over Zoom calls, it wasn't simply sharing memories, they were making sense of themselves. Psychologists call this narrative identity theory. So, what this theory says, it suggests that we don't simply remember our lives, we create meaning from them by turning them into stories. And our identity isn't built only from what happened to us, it is also built from the meaning we choose to give those experiences. So, you think about that. Two people can experience the exact same failure. One would say, I'm not good enough, while the other would say, I'm still becoming the person I'm meant to be. The event is the same. The story changes, and sometimes the story changes the future. So, listening to all these 22 guests reminded me that nobody's life follows a straight line. Behind every achievement was uncertainty, behind every success was rejection, behind every confident smile was a season where confidence didn't exist. We just rarely get to hear that part. And I also like to share another psychological concept, which is called the spotlight effect. So, spotlight effect, it says, it describes our tendency to believe everyone is watching us, judging us, remembering our mistakes. But we all forget that the funny thing is, most people are too busy worrying about themselves. How many dreams have we abandoned because we were afraid of what other people might think? How many opportunities have we missed because embarrassment felt bigger than possibility? Yet, every guest who allowed themselves to be vulnerable became more relatable, not less. They didn't become weaker, they became more human, at least in my eyes. And maybe that's what you have been missing. We are living in the most connected era in history, yet loneliness continues to rise. We know what someone had for lunch, we know where they travel, we know what they bought, we know what promotion they received. But we don't know what keeps them awake at 2 in the morning. We don't know what they are grieving. We don't know what they are carrying. We don't know the battles they've already survived before they have the courage to smile at us. One thing these 22 conversations taught me is that listening is becoming a rare skill. Most of us listen to reply, and very few of us listen to understand. We are already preparing our next sentence while someone else is still speaking, and we are searching for advice before we have fully understood the problem. And we are waiting for our turn instead of offering our attention. But something remarkable happens when people realize they don't have to defend themselves, when they know they're not being judged, when they know someone is genuinely curious. They begin telling stories they didn't even know they were carrying. And I think that's where real connection begins. Not when we agree with one another, not when we share the same background, but then we create enough space for another human being to simply be themselves. Um, there's this one good quote that I'd like to share. It's by a Danish philosopher. Um, his name is, I don't know how to pronounce his name. My apologies. Soren Kierkegaard. I'm sorry if the pronunciation is wrong. So there's a quote by him that goes, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. I think in every episode became an example of that. People looking back, not to remain there, but to understand how those moments shaped the person sitting in front of me today. Something else surprised me. I thought I would become fascinated by successful people. Instead, I became fascinated by transformation. Success, of course, is interesting, but transformation? Now that is something unforgettable for me. I'm drawn to the moment someone decided they deserved better, the moment they chose courage over comfort, the moment they admitted they were wrong, the moment they forgave themselves, the moment they realized failure wasn't the end of their story, because that's where change begins. And this is very relatable to this Japanese philosophy called kintsugi. So when a bowl breaks, they don't throw it away. The cracks are repaired with gold. So the object doesn't become beautiful despite its scars. It becomes beautiful because of that. And I think people are the same. We spend so much energy hiding our cracks. Maybe those cracks are the evidence that we have lived. Maybe they are proof that we have survived. Maybe they are exactly where our light enters. So, all these conversations didn't just change the audience, they changed me. They made me slower to judge, quicker to listen, more curious, more grateful. They reminded me that everyone is carrying something invisible, and that kindness often begins where assumptions end. So, what is Society Script? If you're going to ask me that question, it's not just a podcast, it's not a collection of interviews, and it's not another piece of content competing for your attention. To me, Society Script is a reminder that every person has a story worth hearing, that wisdom can come from anyone, and asking thoughtful questions is an act of respect. That listening is one of the greatest gifts we can offer another human being. If just one conversation helps someone feel less alone, then it's worth it. If one episode gives someone the courage to start over, then it's worth it. And if someone listens to an episode and realizes maybe I'm not the only one struggling, then it's worth it. Long before there were podcasts, before books were printed, before cameras, before the internet, human beings gathered around fires, not because they needed entertainment, because they needed stories. Stories helped people understand loss, love, fear, hope, purpose. Thousands of years later, the fire looks different. But we are still gathering, we are still searching, we are still trying to understand ourselves through one another. To every guest who trusted me with your story, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. To everyone who listened, shared, commented, or quietly supported Society's group, thank you to you. This is only the beginning because I don't believe extraordinary stories belong only to extraordinary people. I believe ordinary people are extraordinary once we take the time to truly listen. So I leave you with a Zen Thirukkural that quietly became the foundation of this podcast. எப்பொருள் யார் யார் வாய் கேட்பினும் அப்பொருள் மெய்ப்பொருள் காண்பது அறிவு. So that's what I hope Society's Good will always be. A place where conversations are valued over conclusions, where curiosity is valued over assumptions, where stories matter, because every person carries a story, every story carries a lesson, and every lesson deserves a listener. And thank you for being one of mine. So I hope you will look forward to the upcoming episodes and If you have enjoyed and if you thought that Society Scoop should be reaching to more people, you will do me a huge favor if you choose to share this to your friends, to your family, and also on your social media platforms. That will be helpful to give the visibility this space has chosen to give to people. So, thank you once again to all of you, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the episodes.